Hello, everyone. I'm Buford MC, and welcome back to another adventure in GregTech New Horizons. I hope you're all doing well today. So, once again, we are starting the episode off by standing in front of a trio of, this time it's iron tanks, and the reason for that is we have a couple of more gases and fluids to produce. So, today we are going to be working on making some mercury, some chlorine, and sulfuric acid. Now, the sulfuric acid is probably going to be the harder one to make. The other two, I'm not actually thinking are going to be that difficult. It's really just plugging a specific dust into a machine. But what we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and, well, the sulfuric acid is going to, we're going to try and automate that, although it does depend on the amount of oxygen we're getting, which is what we set up last time. The other two is kind of going to be set up as we need it sort of thing. It's really just a matter of putting some dust into the machines and it will produce it for us. That's the way I think we're going to be able to make it. But the sulfuric acid is going to be a little bit more involved. So that's the one we're going to start with. So let's get into it. So we've got these tanks over here, and the sulfuric acid is the one we're going to go after first. And we're going to actually be producing that up there. So these two are going to be produced over here, but we'll get to those after we do the sulfuric acid. So once again, I've got a backpack here full of a whole bunch of goodies, and yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and set everything up. So we're going to have to do this one up on this floor here. So this system over here has been working since the last episode, and we are getting quite a bit now of hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. The oxygen is the one we need today. And yeah, we have over 500,000. Hydrogen, 782, and nitrogen, 651. So not that bad. So this is the area. I've set up some machine areas. So what we're going to need is, so let's actually go over the process of making sulfuric acid first. So it's a 3-step process in order to make this stuff. So what we're going to need is, we're going to need to start by making something called sulfur dioxide. That is made inside of a chemical reactor by combining sulfur dust, which I do have to go get. We have some downstairs. I just processed a whole bunch of it. We need some oxygen, of course, as well, and that'll give us sulfur dioxide. Then we need to turn that into sulfur trioxide, which is inside of another chemical reactor, by combining the sulfur dioxide that we made here with more oxygen to get sulfur trioxide. And then finally, we make the sulfuric acid in a third chemical reactor by combining the sulfur trioxide with a cell of water. And we get our sulfuric acid out of that. So that's the process. And I think I have a way that we can do this pretty neatly, I think. So that's what we're going to try and get on with. We do need to get some sulfur. I've also decided to remove the plates. I kind of like looking at it like this. It is a bit of a mess, but, you know, that's GregTech, I guess. You have to have messes like this. So I'm kind of pleased with this. I think I like it more than having the plates and stuff covering it all up. We'll see, though. I haven't gotten any responses about that yet, but that's what I'm thinking. I think we'll keep it like that. It does look quite good. So let's go grab some quick sulfur, because that's the first step we need in order to start our process of making sulfuric acid. And a whole bunch of stuff has been running down here. We have something here. We have some borax dust. I am processing, actually. What are we doing right now? We're doing rock salt as the borax. Yeah, rock salt right now. And, oh, we have some salt in there as well. So we're processing some rock salt and salt then, and we need sulfur, and there it is. We have 3,000, so no shortage of sulfur at the moment. We don't need a whole lot, because I think one sulfur dust is basically going to get us. I want to say, let's look at this again. So one sulfur will give us 1,000 sulfur dioxide, 1,000, and yeah, so one sulfur is going to be one bucket, basically, of sulfuric acid. And I'm a little worried to keep this thing running for too much because, you know, it's going to drain a lot of oxygen. I think it's like, well, the simple way to look at it is if we look at it as if the, you know, chemical thing right here, H2SO4, so that would be 4 oxygen plus sulfuric acid, although because water's going in H2O, it's like 3 buckets of oxygen per. So we've got a decent amount. But anyways, though, so we need to start by preparing this. So we're going to need to grab ourselves a couple chemical reactors, which I have here, and we're going to need some tanks. And I think we're going to need these pipes as well, and a barrel. Right. All right, so let's go ahead then and set all of this up. So the 3 chemical reactors are just going to go all in a row like this. And again, all the power's already hooked up and everything. We've got the turbines down there. And I think we're going to put... Where do I want to put... Well, we're going to put the tanks as well. So we're going to put this one here. And we're going to put the ultra-low voltage fluid tank there. Yeah, I can make that work. That works fine. And then we'll put... I think... Yeah, we'll put the barrel here. That will fit better. So we're going to put the sulfur inside the barrel. And we'll lock you, and we're going to need to put a conveyor module so that we can start pushing sulfur into this first one here. We're going to start here and go along here, because the goal is the sulfuric acid will be made in here, and I'll pipe it out directly into the tank, which is right below it. Perfect, like that. So we need a conveyor module, which I already grabbed one, and well, let's just grab the rest. We'll need more of them, and the pumps. So let's put you there. I'm going to have you set to import. That should put you in. Yep, there we go. So sulfur dust is going in. And what we're going to need now is we need to start pumping in some oxygen. We also need circuit 3. Yep, circuit 3. Well, let's get the oxygen first. So I've got oxygen coming out of this tank from below, and I'm piping it back up into here. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to... I don't want to connect to you. Shouldn't connect to it, I don't think. Let's turn that off for a moment. End up, yep, like that. It should do, and where are we at here? Now let's do something. We'll drag you along like this. And like that. That should work, and then I think we're gonna keep going down right there. And we just need to put the arrows on you. There we go, and that should start filling up with oxygen now. So that's filling up with oxygen, and we have our sulfur. So now we can start making sulfur dioxide. So we just need to set you to circuit 3, and that should start. Perfect, sulfur dioxide, right. So now we have the sulfur dioxide, and what we're going to do next is we're going to need to turn that into sulfur trioxide. So we need to send the sulfur dioxide into the second chemical reactor, which is very easy. We just do that. We are getting quite a bit of this stuff, actually. Wow. That's actually faster than I expected. So this is now going in here. We have sulfur dioxide going into the second chemical reactor. And now, for this to work, we are going to need to give it an oxygen cell. We can't give it actual oxygen inside the fluid thing because it can only accept one fluid. So we actually have to use oxygen cell. Hence, we have an ultra-low voltage fluid tank here. So we're going to connect you up now as well to the oxygen. And we're going to feed you that. You can hold 32 buckets at once. And now we actually have to get a cell into you. So this is where I have to be a bit smart. So this is something that we're going to be able to do. We're going to put a conveyor module on top. And we're going to put a conveyor module on the bottom of you. So the way this is going to work is we're going to need to give you some cells. Let's see. Do I have any cells? In here I do. I'll take 16, that'll work. And we're going to put 16 cells in you right now. And what we're going to do, we're going to set you, I believe, yep, export will work. But what we have to do is we have to set you, I think, to allow input and you to allow input. And you also need to be set to import. So that should push these 16 oxygen cells into here. And sulfur trioxide is going to need circuit 1. Well, yep, there we go. There's the oxygen cells. So we're going to do circuit 1, and this one does take a little bit longer, 10 seconds. And also the power usage of these, I should mention, sulfur dioxide is 8 EU, trioxide's 30, and sulfuric acid is 8. So that's 2 of these turbines, basically. So that's why I've got 2 of them cooked up all together. A little bit, I guess, of cable loss, but it shouldn't be too much. So there we go, we're getting sulfur trioxide and also the empty cells. Now the idea is that we are going to, I believe, be able to push the empty cells now back into the ultra-low voltage fluid tank. And we might need to smack you with a screwdriver in order to do that. Let's see. Because that allows us to do input from output side allowed. So if I've set this up correctly, I think something like that, because I did test this with something else, and it did work. So, I have to find out. It might... let's see. Oh, wait, maybe... No, you're set to import. You're set to export. Did I want to do that the other way around? Maybe I wanted to have you export and you import? Yep, there we go. So the cells are pushed back in, and this is filled up with oxygen again, and they should, I believe, be thrown back in. We will see. Hopefully. We are getting the sulfur trioxide. Well, we'll see. And this is right here, so again, it allows the output. Right, well, we'll wait for that for a second. Before we carry on, though, we're going to push you, because we need to get the sulfur trioxide now over into here. So, we need to set you up. That's actually quite simple. We just do the fluid output. Yep, you're going to go into there. Right, so this isn't pushing down yet. Do I need to smack you as well? Maybe not. So input from output side forbidden, input from output side allowed. Ah, maybe actually... No, I know what I did wrong there. Let me correct my mistake here. We need to use the conveyor module. That's what I did wrong, right? Let's not use the conveyor module for this. What we're going to do actually is we're going to set you up to go item auto output. And you are going to be set to export. Now it should be able to push these. Let's see. If I did this right, do I have that set correctly? There we go. So the oxygen's going in, and because of the way this is set up now, it should push the cell immediately in. Perfect. All right. There we go. That's the way we were supposed to be. All right. A little confused there. I said I wasn't supposed to put two of the conveyor modules. So the way I have this set up then is we have the conveyor module on the bottom of the fluid tank, and we have it set so that the screwdriver, so basically smack it, you can change it from input from output side forbidden, input from output side allowed. And because we have the output side set to the top, it allows it to be input and output from the same thing. So basically, we're able to swap the oxygen cells and the empty cells freely between these two items right here. Perfect. So that means we do need to throw a pump onto you to get the actual sulfuric acid, the sulfur trioxide into there. And you're already full up, so do I have that set correctly? Let me make sure. You're set to export. Perfect. Alright, so there we go. We got that now. We're up to sulfur trioxide. This is running. How much oxygen are we using? Ooh, we're using quite a bit, aren't we? I guess that makes sense. Yeah. That's alright, though. We're going to be making some sulfuric acid anyways, which we're going to need at some point. So sulfur trioxide, then. Now that we have that, we can make the next final step, sulfuric acid, which all we need to do is give you a water cell. So we need to connect up some water, and I am realizing here that we're going to need a couple more of these fluid pipes. So let's go quickly grab a couple from upstairs. And it is also the middle of the night. Let's go to sleep. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's go quickly make ourselves a couple more fluid pipes. Do I have any bronze on me? Do I have some over here? I think we should. Yeah, there we go. There's some bronze. Take 60. Since I can cleanly make a even number of pipes. So we'll do that, and that should be fine. That should be more than enough, in fact. Put the rest of these away. The hammer away. And let's head back down. Right, so now we need to connect up the water supply now, and that should be everything we need in order to make sulfuric acid. So let's go over here. So here's our water right here, basically the same thing we had over there. We'll just connect you up here. And of course, we don't want to connect that pipe up to any of the other pipes, but I think we'll be okay. Let's also do the line mode, since that's a little faster. Go, and then Oh, I gotta break that one, actually. Send that one down. And send you down, and we should get water. Lovely. Right, so now we need to give you a pump so that we can pump the water into this chemical reactor. And that is export. Is that filling up? Oh, whoops. Nope, not a pump. It's a conveyor module. My bad. Yeah, we're going to give you cells is what we're going to do. Where is my cells at? They should be there, right. So fill you up with cells, and we're going to give you a conveyor module. So basically, it's the same exact thing we did here. So we have that set to export and allow input. So export and allow input. And that should send that along. And now we need to get the circuit right, which is circuit number 1. And there we go. We're making ourselves some sulfuric acid. So what we need to do now is we need to set you up to send the item back up. So I'll send the empty cell back into here, just like we're doing that. Take a look. Yep, there we go. Water cell. So that's now in a loop, and now we're getting sulfuric acid. Lovely. And the sulfuric acid, we are going to connect up to the side right here. And I'm going to send you down. And we'll finish that up. We'll go down there to finish that up. And we'll put... Well, let's hook it up first, actually. So let's jump down there and hook that pipe up to that tank. And then we'll actually get the sulfuric acid going. So yeah, a little bit of work involved in this, but it's not too bad. I'm a little worried about the oxygen we're using, but we'll see. So let's put you there. Just like that. Yeah, that should work. Sulfuric acid. Now we just have to get it actually pumping in. So let's head back up again. Connect up the pump to the chemical reactor, and everything should be going well. Let's put you there. Export. There it is. We should see some sulfuric acid filling up inside of our tank there. Let's go take one more look. Alright, here we go. And there it is, sulfuric acid. 6 buckets already, and we are getting it. Lovely. Yep, and you can see it filling in right there. So there we go, we're getting our sulfuric acid there. Now, let's go take a look actually now at our oxygen supply. Do want to make sure, well, it is going to go down, because filling up that tank, and the tanks are the machines, but I just want to make sure. 328. We're probably losing oxygen, to be completely honest. We're going to use a lot of sulfur as well. So this is when it's going to stop. When we run out of sulfur is when it's going to stop. Oh, I guess oxygen. But again, we're producing oxygen. So it'll eventually produce enough oxygen to keep running. Sulfur is going to be the limiting factor here. But yeah, we are producing it. That's quite good. And it's not that bad. So the cells seem to be traveling along. In fact, actually, why is that stopped? Why is that water cell not going back in there? Oh, I know why it is. Is it because I didn't set you? Yes, it is because I didn't set you. My bad. Good thing I noticed that, because I would have been very confused. Input from output side allowed. So don't forget that. Don't forget to smack this thing with a screwdriver once so that you can actually do that, because that should send that along now. Let's just make sure it does. There we go. Perfect. Right, so that's set up, that one's set up, and everyone's happy now. Lovely. Right, so that is sulfuric acid setup. Right, we're done with that. And in fact, actually, there is a quest for that we can turn in. We'll do that after we set up these two. So now we're going to do the next two, which is the Mercury and Chlorine, which isn't nearly as difficult to set up. It's just a matter of setting up basically one machine, and I'll just input some specific dust as needed. So in fact, actually, to make Mercury, the best way, and this is a comment I got a while back, because I think initially I used Cinnabar dust. Yeah, I used this one. 2 Cinnabar to 1 Mercury, and I get some sulfur. But you can actually fluid extract Quicksilver to get Mercury, and Quicksilver you basically get from smelting Cinnabar. So it's more efficient. I should have some Quicksilver, I think, in here. there we go. We got some copper and iron as well. But the quicksilver's the one we want, so we're gonna grab some of that, and we're gonna head over here. And now we need to set up some more machines. So we have chlorine and mercury, right? So that was mercury. Chlorine is actually going to be inside, I believe, LV electrolyzer. And we can actually use either rock salt or salt, hence why I'm processing that right now in the ore area. And we can get ourselves some chlorine as well as either potassium or some sodium. Rock salt's actually a little bit faster. 3.6 salt is 16 seconds, so rock salt's faster. Right, so we have chlorine and mercury, so we're going to need to set up more turbines, I believe. There we go, and we'll need that and that. So the turbines are going to simply just go right here. We've got steam already prepared. We don't even need any cables, we're just going to hook them up directly. So fluid extractor for mercury. And the electrolyzer for chlorine. And what we're going to do now is we're going to also set up a couple of chests. I could have done barrels, but chests will be better since some of them use multiple things. So I'm going to put you there. Yeah, I might swap them out for barrels, but for now we'll do that. And then we will need to set up some conveyor modules. So there and there. We'll have these machines automatically push the fluids out. You will be set to import, you will be set to export, import, and export. So that should be working. Let's test out the mercury one first and just to see if it works. Of course, it will take a few seconds. I don't think it needs a circuit. This is a fluid extractor. Now, 6.4 seconds, only 4 you a tick, hardly anything. See, I got that one set to import, right? There we go. And that's going to start making us a little bit of mercury. In fact, actually, this isn't going to give us an item. Why did I put a chest there? I don't need a chest there. I just realized that. Alright, we don't even need the conveyor module. My bad. Alright, there we go. So there we go. We got mercury now coming out of this. So, we got mercury in there. Let's go ahead then and see if we can... We'll do rock salt for now. I think that one's faster. Well, let's see what we have, actually, because they're still processing, I'm sure. But we need rock salt and salt. And we have... Oh, we got plenty of rock salt. How much is that? 6 stacks? Let's go with 8 stacks. I'll let that one for a bit. I think it is quite power-intensive. I mean, 30 EU a tick. So, it's like a full amp of LV power, which is quite a bit. But these boilers are doing quite well. I mean, these are... this one's empty, but this one's still at full capacity, meaning that we're still not using our full steam power at this point. So, I think we can get away with this. So, we'll put the rock salt in. And just make sure that I've set that up so that will go in. And let's make sure. It does take, again, 20 seconds to that. Let me equip you. Any moment now. There we go. Rock salt. And that should give us the potassium and the chlorine. Now, the potassium should be punched out into the chest above. So I have that set to export. We're getting the chlorine right here. So just make sure that potassium gets pushed out. I don't know what you use Oh, there it goes. I wonder what we use potassium for. Oh, well, we can combine it with chlorine to get our rock salt back, I guess. That's interesting. Mixer. Okay, EV, I don't think that's anything we can do right now. Uranium-based liquid fuel. Okay. Don't think we can do anything with that anytime soon. But we got some potassium coming in, but the big thing is chlorine. So we got chlorine and we got mercury here, and that's already full up. So how are we going to get them into the tanks? Well, we're going to do something similar to what we did up there. And we're going to be using these quadruple pipes so that we can actually move them right here, because I've got the input sides for these right here. So let's go ahead then, and we'll hook this up first. Put the little arrows, and yeah, we'll come down, I guess. I think that'll look the best. Make sure it's all connected. Go, connect you up. Perfect, that should work. And now all we need to do is Do that, and set the fluid output. Fluid output. Mercury is going in both of them, right? Okay, let's fix that. Nope, still getting mercury. Let's actually disconnect the mercury then. No, it's still getting mercury in there. There we go. Now we're getting chlorine, and you're filling up with mercury. Lovely. Let's put that back in there. Right, so there we go. Mercury's going in there, and we're getting chlorine into this one. Right, so I think that is all three of those set up. So again, these will run basically on demand. As long as I get this thing Quicksilver, we'll get Mercury. As long as I get this thing rock salt or salt, although we've got plenty of rock salt, you know, we'll get chlorine. And sulfuric acid, already 37 buckets, and let's go take a look at what's happening up there as well. It is nighttime once again. Let's go to sleep. Alright, so let's go take a look and see how we're doing. I'll check the oxygen again as well, but it sounds like everything is running over here. Yeah, this one takes the longest, 1610, and then this one was like really fast, so that's why these are not always going to be running. But, yeah, we're getting there. Oxygen, 254, so it is still going down. Yeah, so that is something. So I probably won't run this setup constantly. Then I might even take a stack of sulfur out for now. In fact, let's just take all the sulfur out. We'll just well, I'll leave you a little bit more in there. I just want to be mindful of my oxygen supply, because I do have other needs for oxygen. So, we'll see. But this seems to be working out quite well for now. We're getting our sulfuric acid. Right, so there is a quest we still need to do. We need to grab a cell of that sulfuric acid. And actually, in fact, I believe there is a battery we can make. I think there was a quest for that somewhere as well. Let's see if I can find that. Storing and transforming. Yep, this one right here. Single-use battery acid. So we might as well knock that quest out in the process. We do need to grab a cell. There we go. I'll take all of those. Why not? And we'll go ahead and fill up our cell with a bit of sulfuric acid and I make that battery, and I think that will be it for this episode. So yeah, we've been dealing with a lot of these little gases and fluids and stuff in the last few episodes now. There we go, there's sulfuric acid, so let's fill you in. I don't know how many we need. How many does the quest want? Take a look. Oh, only the one? There's one sulfuric acid cell, and there is the quest. Lovely, and let's see, do we get this one here? The battery. Not a very good battery, I guess, but it just needs one sulfuric acid, right? That's all we need for that. Right, so we'll go ahead and make that anyways. It's not that difficult, I don't think. So, what do we need to make this? Fluid canner. Do I have that? I don't think I do. This is a canning machine. Yeah, I need a fluid canner. Oh, it's right here. There it is. Fluid canner, sulfuric acid, small battery hull, and that should be our acid battery. Oop, there it is. And there was the quest. Lovely. I don't think we'll ever use this, but, well, it's a quest. We might as well get it done. We have plenty of batteries right now. Look at all these lithium batteries I have. I've actually got a lot of... The reason I have a lot of them now is I realized when I go use the miner right here, I can actually attach it now to a 16-volt battery buffer, and it'll basically cover the entire vein, well, at least as much as the miner can mine out. So I use 16 batteries at a time now with that. It works out a lot better. But yeah, so let's go ahead then and claim our quest rewards for today. We have sulfuric acid. You'll give me some sulfur dust and some oxygen. Right, actually, you know what? Let's just go add that oxygen down to the oxygen tank then. I get the feeling oxygen might be a little bit of an issue still. I know we're making it from hydrogen and nitrogen production, but... yeah, it's going down for sure. We're using more than we're making, I think. Yeah, well, I'll have to keep an eye on that. So, that's that one, and then there was also the battery. I think that's the only other quest we have, so there... yeah, nothing else. And I can get either sulfuric acid, battery alloy. Let's go with the loot bag. In fact, I don't think we have any other loot bags to open today, so we might as well get at least one for today. Alright, so there's the loot bag, and I think that's all there is left to do. I think we just open up the loot bag. So, let's see what we get from this loot bag right here. Ooh, we got 4 night vision potions. That's actually not that bad. If I ever have to go out fighting mobs at night or something, that might be quite useful. Right, not too bad of one. But yeah, we got all of that set up. We set up the sulfuric acid. We've also got chlorine and mercury down below. And yeah, we set up all of these kind of really important gases. You know, we got the nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen. And then we set up a little bit more other stuff today as well. But yeah, we're definitely progressing in terms of our fluids. And yeah, it's coming together, I think. So I think that is where we're going to leave this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.